Have you ever encountered situations that seemed like a devastating blow, only to later discover they were pushing you towards something much more meaningful? Today, we will explore how Buddhism teaches us to transform those difficult moments into steps toward spiritual growth. Buddhism teaches us that life is full of impermanence and change. Just as a flower withers at the end of its cycle, our experiences of rejection can be seen as a natural part of life's flow. It's not about avoiding pain, but about learning to see it as a way to grow. When you face rejection, it's not a sign that you are unworthy. It's an opportunity to look within yourself and find the true source of your value. Are you ready to discover how to turn every challenge into a powerful lesson? Let's begin this journey together. 1. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is a fundamental tool in Buddhism, renowned worldwide for its ability to transform daily life. This practice involves being fully present in the moment, observing our emotions and thoughts without judgment. When you experience rejection, mindfulness allows you to observe your feelings of pain or frustration without fully identifying with them. Mindfulness is not just a technique, but a way of life in Buddhism. In the Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha explained the 4 foundations of mindfulness: mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. These practices have been passed down through the centuries and form the basis of many forms of Buddhist meditation. A relevant story is that of Buddha and the glass of water. One day, a disciple asked Buddha to explain the importance of mindfulness. Buddha asked him to bring a glass of water. When the disciple returned with the glass, Buddha deliberately dropped it on the ground, shattering it into pieces. He then said, "This glass was already broken from the beginning." Buddha wanted to teach that, like the glass, everything in life is temporary, and our ability to accept this reality with mindfulness allows us to experience less suffering. When you practice mindfulness during rejection, you see the pain as a glass that was already broken. You accept its impermanence and allow the experience to flow without getting stuck in it. Moreover, mindfulness helps us disidentify from our emotions and thoughts. When facing rejection, instead of thinking, "I am a failure," you can observe that thought as an object that arises and passes in your mind. This allows you to maintain a clearer, less reactive perspective, preventing rejection from defining your identity. 2. Embrace impermanence. Impermanence, or anicca, is one of the fundamental principles of Buddhism. Everything in life is constantly changing. The seasons, our emotions, our relationships. Nothing remains the same forever. And this is a truth that Buddhism invites us to deeply accept. In this sense, accepting impermanence is a gateway to liberation. In the context of rejection, embracing impermanence means understanding that the pain and frustration you feel won't last forever. A historical example is the story of King Ashoka, one of the greatest emperors of India, who turned to Buddhism after experiencing the devastation of war and loss. By understanding the impermanence of his power and conquests, Ashoka transformed his life and became a symbol of peace and compassion, promoting Buddhism and non-violence. Impermanence is also reflected in the cycle of life and death that Buddha observed and taught. From his youth, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, witnessed aging, illness, and death, leading him to seek a solution to the inherent suffering of existence. His understanding of impermanence led to his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, where he realized that attachment to the transient is the root of suffering. The rejection you face today, though painful, is just a transitional phase in your life. Like Ashoka, you can use this moment to reflect and transform your path, accepting that both pain and pleasure are temporary and part of life's dance. This frees you from anxiety and allows you to live more fully and consciously, without clinging to negative experiences. 3. Embrace inner silence. Inner silence is a crucial aspect of Buddhist practice. It's not simply the absence of sound, but finding a space of calm and clarity within yourself, even in the midst of adversity. When someone rejects you, the immediate impulse may be to react, justify yourself, or fight to be understood. However, Buddhism teaches us to step back and seek refuge in our inner silence. Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh speaks of deep listening as a way to embrace inner silence. He shares the story of how, during the Vietnam War, his practice of silence and meditation helped him overcome fear and anger. Instead of being carried away by negative emotions, he used silence to connect with his inner peace and respond from a place of compassion and clarity. The concept of inner silence is also deeply related to the practice of meditation. In Zen Buddhism, for example, silence is essential for achieving satori, or sudden enlightenment. Silence is not just an absence of noise, but a tool that allows us to delve into our true nature. Zen Master Dogen said, "Sitting silently doing nothing is the practice of enlightenment." This type of silence allows us to see beyond our superficial reactions and connect with our deepest essence. By finding that inner silence during rejection, you can respond with wisdom rather than reactivity. This silence allows you to see things as they really are and choose a path of peace instead of conflict. In silence, you find the strength to transform rejection into an opportunity for growth, letting serenity and clarity guide your actions. 4. Cultivate compassion. Compassion is the heart of Buddhism. It not only involves being kind to others, but also to ourselves. When we face rejection, we often punish ourselves with negative and self-critical thoughts. Buddhism invites us to change this perspective, seeing rejection as an opportunity to cultivate compassion. One of the most moving stories is that of Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. It is said that Avalokiteshvara, upon seeing the suffering of beings in the world, vowed to liberate them all before attaining his own enlightenment. However, realizing the magnitude of his promise, he felt overwhelmed, and his body broke into 1,000 pieces. With the help of the Buddhas, he was restored with 1,000 arms and 1,000 eyes to help all beings with infinite compassion. In Tibetan Buddhism, Avalokiteshvara is known as Chenrezig and is deeply revered as a model of compassion. The mantras dedicated to Avalokiteshvara, such as Om Mani Padme Hum, are recited to invoke his compassion and wisdom. These mantras serve as a reminder that compassion should be at the center of our lives, especially when facing rejection. Facing rejection with compassion means understanding that those who reject you are also dealing with their own suffering. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that we should see our enemies with the eyes of compassion, understanding that their behavior stems from their own pain. Instead of responding with resentment, you can respond with kindness and understanding, which not only frees you from pain, but also contributes to a more compassionate world. This approach not only transforms your relationships, but also deepens your connection to the Buddhist path. 5. Transform karma. Karma is one of Buddhism's best-known teachings, referring to the law of cause and effect. Every action we take, every word we say, and even every thought we have plants a seed in our karma that will bear fruit in the future. Understanding karma teaches us to be mindful of our actions and to accept that we are responsible for our experiences. A classic story is that of Angulimala, a feared bandit who became a devoted follower of Buddha. Angulimala had accumulated immense negative karma due to his violent acts. However, upon meeting Buddha and receiving his teaching, Angulimala completely transformed his life. Despite the consequences of his past, his sincerity and dedication to the Dharma path allowed him to purify his karma and attain inner peace. The story of Angulimala is a powerful reminder that no matter how negative our karma is, we always have the ability to transform it through our present actions. This principle is also seen in the story of Buddha in his past life as a bodhisattva, where, in an act of compassion, he offered his body to a hungry tigress to save her cubs. This extreme sacrifice is an example of how positive karma can be cultivated through acts of compassion and altruism. When you experience rejection, you can choose to respond with negativity or use that experience to sow seeds of compassion, patience, and understanding. This shift not only affects your future, but also transforms karma into positive, bringing benefits to your life and the lives of others. By understanding and applying the law of karma, you become more aware of your actions and their impact on your life and the lives of others, creating a cycle of kindness that extends beyond yourself. 6. Practice generosity in times of rejection. Generosity is a central virtue in Buddhism, known as dana. It's not just about giving material goods, but also offering time, energy, and kindness to others. When you face rejection, the practice of generosity can be a powerful way to heal and transform your experience. An inspiring anecdote is that of Sudatta Anathapindika, a wealthy merchant who became an ardent follower of Buddha. Known for his generosity, Sudatta built the famous Jetavana monastery, where Buddha imparted many of his teachings. Anathapindika not only found peace and satisfaction through his generosity, but also left a lasting legacy of compassion and service. The practice of dana is fundamental in Buddhist monastic life. In many Buddhist cultures, monks rely entirely on the offerings of food and goods from lay people, and these offerings are seen as a way to cultivate merit and wisdom. Lay people, in turn, see the opportunity to give as a blessing, as it allows the continuity of Dharma teaching. When you feel hurt by rejection, consider how you can give to others. Perhaps you can offer your time to a charitable cause, share your knowledge with someone in need, or simply offer a kind word. This act of generosity will not only alleviate your own pain, but also contribute to a cycle of kindness and compassion in the world. Generosity is a way to remember that we are all interconnected, and that by giving, we also receive in terms of spiritual satisfaction and inner peace. 7. Find refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha, or spiritual community, is one of the 3 refuges in Buddhism, along with the Buddha and the Dharma. The Sangha provides support, guidance, and a sense of belonging. When you experience rejection, turning to your community can offer you comfort and a broader perspective. A historical example of the importance of the Sangha is the story of Buddha and his first disciples. After his enlightenment, Buddha gathered a group of dedicated followers who formed the first Sangha. Together, they traveled and taught the Dharma, supporting each other in their quest for enlightenment. This community not only provided support in times of difficulty, but was also crucial for the expansion of Buddhism. The Sangha is also where the practice of Kalyanamitra, or spiritual friendship, takes place. A Kalyanamitra is a friend who supports you on your spiritual path, helping you overcome difficulties and stay on the Dharma path. The relationship between Buddha and Ananda, his close disciple and assistant, is an example of Kalyanamitra. Ananda accompanied Buddha for many years, serving him and learning from him, and their relationship was based on mutual respect and spiritual support. If you feel rejected, don't isolate yourself. Seek the support of those who share your values and beliefs. The Sangha can be a group of friends, a meditation community, or any circle where you feel understood and accepted. Here, you can find the strength to overcome rejection and continue on your spiritual path. The community reminds you that you are not alone and that together you can transform pain into growth and understanding. 8. The Bodhisattva Path. A bodhisattva is a person who has attained a high degree of enlightenment and who commits to helping all beings attain enlightenment before achieving their own. This path is full of compassion and altruism, offering us a powerful perspective on how to face rejection. The story of Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion, is especially relevant. It is said that Kuan Yin was about to enter nirvana when she heard the cries of suffering beings on earth. Instead of moving forward into eternal peace, she decided to stay and help all beings free themselves from suffering. Kuan Yin embodies boundless compassion and sacrifice for others. In Mahayana, one of the main branches of Buddhism, the Bodhisattva ideal is central. It is taught that bodhisattvas renounce their entry into nirvana in order to help all beings attain liberation. The Bodhisattva Charyavatara, a fundamental text written by Shantideva, describes the Bodhisattva's path and how to cultivate the qualities of compassion, patience, and generosity. This text has been a source of inspiration for millions of practitioners around the world. When you face rejection, ask yourself how you can use that experience to help others. Perhaps you can share what you have learned with someone going through a similar situation, or use your experience to support others on their spiritual path. By adopting the mindset of a bodhisattva, you transform rejection into an opportunity to grow in compassion and service. This perspective not only helps you overcome pain, but also connects you with a larger mission, that of contributing to the well-being of all beings. 9. Meditate on emptiness. The concept of emptiness, or shunyata, is one of the most profound and complex in Buddhism. Emptiness does not mean that things do not exist, but that they lack a fixed or permanent essence. Everything we experience is interdependent and constantly changing. A story that illustrates this concept is the parable of the cart. Buddha asked his disciples, what makes a cart a cart? Is it the axle, the wheels, the cabin? Each part is essential, but none alone is the cart. The cart as a concept is empty of intrinsic existence. It only exists in relation to its parts and its purpose. Similarly, rejection has no intrinsic power over you. It only has the power you give it. Nagarjuna, one of the great philosophers of Mahayana Buddhism, extensively elaborated on the concept of emptiness in his writings. His work, Madhyamaka Karika, explores how all things lack independent existence and how our understanding of emptiness leads to liberation. Nagarjuna argues that by recognizing the emptiness of all things, we free ourselves from attachments and the sufferings these attachments cause. Meditating on emptiness allows you to see rejection from a broader perspective. You understand that the pain you feel does not have an existence of its own, but is a mental construct that you can dissolve with practice and understanding. This vision frees you from suffering and allows you to live with greater lightness and freedom. By understanding emptiness, you not only free yourself from the pain of rejection, but also come closer to understanding the ultimate nature of reality. 10. Practice. Detachment. Detachment, or non-attachment, is a key principle in Buddhism. Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. We cling to things, people, and ideas, and when we lose them, we suffer. Rejection is a manifestation of impermanence, and practicing detachment can help you navigate it gracefully. The story of Vesantara, a prince known for his extreme generosity, is a powerful example of detachment. Vesantara gave away everything he owned, including his children, in an act of total renunciation. Although the story may seem extreme, It symbolizes the Buddhist ideal of total detachment, showing that true freedom and inner peace are found when we stop clinging to the mundane. Detachment does not mean indifference or lack of love. Rather, it's about loving without possession, experiencing without attachment. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "You do not need to be a slave to your thoughts and emotions. You do not need to be trapped by your desires. Just observe and let go." This practice allows you to experience life fully without being dragged by emotional highs and lows. When facing rejection, practicing detachment means recognizing that your worth does not depend on others' acceptance. You free yourself from pain by not clinging to expectations and understanding that everything in life is transient. This detachment is not indifference, but a deep form of love and compassion, both for yourself and others. Practicing detachment allows you to live with more freedom and joy, facing rejection and adversity with serenity and balance. 11. Recognize interdependence. Buddhism teaches the interdependence of all things, known as pratitya samutpada. This means that everything is connected and nothing exists in isolation. When you experience rejection, it's important to remember that you are not alone. Your experiences, emotions, and actions are intertwined with those of others. A classic tale is that of Indra's net, a vast net that extends across the universe, with a jewel at each crossing. Each jewel reflects all the others, symbolizing how each being is connected to all others. This metaphor reminds us that our actions and emotions impact others, and vice versa. The concept of interdependence also manifests in the teaching of the 12 Nidana, or the 12 links of dependent origination, which describe how ignorance leads to the formation of karmas, which in turn lead to suffering. This teaching shows that suffering does not arise in isolation, but is the result of a chain of interrelated causes and conditions. Understanding this interconnectedness helps us see rejection and other painful experiences as part of a larger whole. When you feel rejected, recognizing interdependence allows you to see that rejection is not a personal failure, but an interaction within a larger web of relationships. By understanding this, you can overcome rejection with greater wisdom and compassion, knowing that your existence and worth are intrinsically linked to the well-being of all beings. This understanding helps you see beyond yourself, understanding that your life is connected with everyone else's, and that by healing, you contribute to the healing of the entire fabric of life. 12. Accept non-sanctity. Non-sanctity, or the acceptance of imperfection, is a liberating teaching in Buddhism. It reminds us that we don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. In Zen tradition, there is a practice called wabi-sabi, which celebrates the beauty of the imperfect, the incomplete, and the transient. A Zen story that exemplifies this is the tale of an old master who, when his disciples asked him to show them perfection, took them to a garden where there was a single lotus flower in full bloom. The master explained that the flower was not perfect because it was complete, but because it reflected the process of life, growth, blooming, and eventual withering. Acceptance of non-sanctity is also found in Buddha's teachings on suffering. In his first sermon, Buddha spoke of the Four Noble Truths, which include the recognition that suffering is an inevitable part of life. This teaching invites us to accept the reality of our human condition, with all its imperfections, and to seek liberation not through perfection, but through understanding and compassion. When you face rejection, accepting non-sanctity means recognizing that you don't need to be perfect to be valuable. Rejection doesn't diminish your worth. It simply reminds you that you are human, with all the complexities and wonders that entails. By accepting your own imperfection, you become more compassionate toward yourself and others, and rejection becomes a lesson in humility and personal growth. This acceptance frees you from the pressure of always being enough and allows you to live with greater authenticity and inner peace. As we conclude this journey through Buddhist teachings, remember that every experience of rejection is an opportunity to deepen your understanding and spiritual practice. These principles offer you tools to transform rejection into a source of wisdom, compassion, and growth. May every obstacle become a stepping stone toward inner peace and enlightenment. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and may all beings find peace, wisdom, and happiness. Until next time.